And good evening, everybody. Welcome to Going Nuclear, full-blown coverage of the land, part of Collectin' and Connectin', a good vibes community. I am Ethan Greenberg, and alongside of me is my co-host, Mike Rasinski. Mike, how are you doing this evening, sir?
I'm doing good, and happy St. Patty's Day to everyone.
Yes, happy St. Patty's Day. It doesn't quite have the same feel when you get to be old, right?
No, not at all. Um, Nothing has changed today than didn't happen yesterday.
Yeah.
There's no going out and drinking green beer or anything today for me.
Did you ever do the green beer thing?
Oh, all the time in college. You didn't do that at Kent?
No, I was a loser, Mike. I'm just gonna be straight up. I was a bit of a party pooper, I think.
No.
My 21st birthday would have been during what? During our junior year.
Mm-hmm.
And and I went out that day because it was opening day. And I went to Rays with a friend of mine from who I knew from high school and watched baseball and sat at Rays, spun the wheel, had a shot, some good stuff like that. And then I think I had to go home. I had to actually go out and meet my mom at Applebee's for dinner. She wanted to take me out.
Yeah, that's the most Northeast Ohio thing ever. I love it.
Yeah.
Did you ever go to Screwy Louie's in
You
Kent?
know, the
During it?
I did go to Screwy Louie's a couple of times as a student at Kent. Interestingly enough, I was able to go there before I turned 18 because I was a student at the Stark campus of Kent during my senior year of high school. So I had a student ID. So I just showed him my student ID and was
Good
able
enough.
and was good enough able to go there. I did go there a few times. I think freshman year, old Screwy Louie's.
Yep. And then one more I'll throw at you, and then we can get on to it. Panini's down there by the river.
Did I go to the Paninis down there? I had to. Yeah. I definitely, yes,
Yeah.
definitely
That
went
was
to
a
Paninis.
yeah. Okay. Those were good
Oh,
St. Patty's Day spots too. Back in the day.
yeah. Well, Paninis. I mean, you got to talk about some great sandwiches there. I mean, you're throwing fries on the sandwich. You
Oh
don't need
yeah.
you don't need Permani Brothers to have a sandwich with fries on it, right?
No. And now they've cleaned up Kent, and I don't know, it's not the same. Not saying
Not
it's bad, it's just not the same as when we were there.
really. I mean, I haven't been back to the campus recently, and of course, I'm not there to party. Yeah, I think we need to go back and party just for old time's sake, Mike.
I,
We could
I don't know if that's
crash.
a good idea, but
I think it would be an excellent idea. We can crash some of the frat parties. I think about some of the things that I might have done there. Yeah. Maybe there's a
yeah.
statute of limitations. I'm hoping
We'll have to
that.
make sure to bring the kids too when we do this.
Oh yes, an excellent choice. I think that
Yeah.
would be good. That will keep us from going to the to jail.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that'll keep us from going to jail. So well. All right, we got off the rails here a little bit, but let's start things off right again. Welcome to Going Nuclear, full-blown coverage of the land. Mike, I guess we're going to start. It is March Madness starting, and we talked about it last week on the show. We'll recap here a little bit of action.
Mm-hmm.
The men's basketball tournament for us Kent State guys did not go our way. Akron completes a three-peat in the men's basketball tournament. That's the first time that's been done. And that wasn't the most shocking thing of the whole weekend. For those of you who may not have known or may not have followed the story, the shocking thing was Miami of Ohio, undefeated, 31-0, falling in the quarterfinals to UMass. I mean, were you more shocked at Miami losing or Akron three-peating?
Probably Miami losing with the way they lost. Now, I thought they were vulnerable. I mean, with how many overtime games that they played, like they seemed like they were going to lose eventually. I did not think it was going to be in the first round to UMass. That's what surprised me. I thought it was going to be an Akron or a Kent beating them, not a UMass.
Yeah, and that loss ultimately, I mean, that had to have been what caused them to get relegated to the first four.
Mm-hmm. At least they
And
made it, though. At least they made it.
that is true. I mean, so the MAC does get two schools
Mm-hmm.
in the NCAA tournament, but I don't know. I don't know much about SMU. I am certainly rooting for SMU. I can't be. It's not about like, oh, it's a fellow MAC school. No, No, not this time, friends.
Yeah, I'm with you. So you'll probably make fun of me for this, but for my bracket this year, I had ChatGPT fill it out for me,
Oh yeah, how'd that
and
go?
it has SMU beating Miami,
Oh, good, good. I
but
like
it
that.
also has Akron winning in the first round, which I was not a fan of. But
Well, Texas Tech is without I think their leading scorer. His last name is Toppin, and I think
yes,
it's like JB Toppin.
that
Or
was the reasoning ChatGPT gave me too for picking Akron over Texas Tech.
Smart, very smart. Do you remember those commercials for the was it the Philips Magnavox? Smart, very smart TV.
Yes.
With the Smothers Brothers.
Yeah, yeah. So I wanted to see. I want to see. We'll see. I'll keep you updated, and we'll see in a couple weeks if ChatGPT is smarter than everybody else in my pool or not.
I am
Or
very curious about that. I am very curious to see how that does because, and I was going to ask you about the bracket, so put a pin in that one for just a moment. Um, as we mentioned, Akron, they pull off the three-peat. They held off Kent State. Kent State, I thought they were just going to get mollywopped again, and they woke up at halftime and finally decided to come back out and man up and play some physical basketball. Just couldn't get over the hump. They were right there.
yeah, yeah. I at halftime after they were down, I think it was 12 at halftime. I actually switched it over to the WBC. Started watching some baseball, and like I can't be depressed again watching this game. I checked the score, and all of a sudden we're down by 2. Switched back over and finished watching that game, which was disappointing. Obviously that we lost, but it was a good game. I was glad to see him fight back. I do wish we would have tried to go more inside. It just seemed like we were taking too many isolation, too many threes, and not just going with our big guys, underneath.
We had they it was a matchup nightmare for us. The way they played really took us out of our game. And we did have, there were a number of times like Rob Whaley. That guy is he's a load.
Yeah,
He's a big feller. Like what is he's like 260 plus pounds and
yeah,
6'7". He's not quite Antonio Gates was a little bit trimmer than him. He was a little bit more well rounded in terms of the height, length. You know what I mean?
yeah,
The
yeah.
dimensions.
He's a beast. Yeah.
He really is. I'm glad we got him for one season. And you know what, guys? I'll just point this out. Kent State is going to the NIT, so they'll be in action tomorrow night against Illinois State. Akron, the comeback over Toledo. I thought it would have been the most hilarious thing if Toledo, who hadn't won a MAC title since 1980, would win this season when they were like the 4 seed and mediocre at best, when in past seasons they have been like going into it the number 1 seed, best the best team in the regular season, and they've fallen on their faces year after year. So I thought, oh my gosh, if they pull this one off, that would just be comical.
I would have loved that. And how lucky is Akron? Well, I'm sure it's not just luck. I don't mean that. They're skilled, but 3 years in a row they three-peated, and all 3 they've won it in like the last 5 seconds.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it was completely it's ridiculous how crazy those games have been. The fact that a few years ago they were playing Kent as an 8 seed. Kent had no
Yes.
business being there, and then poor Julius Rollins lost his train of thought. Now we don't know what would have happened if he didn't foul. Akron
Right.
might have still scored, but he just lost his train of thought, his mind. He fouls after we finally get up by 1 with less
It
than
was like
10
4
seconds.
seconds left.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was crazy. And then last year, I don't know that I even watched last year because I think I was probably boycotting it.
Right.
And this year I watched because Toledo was playing so well. I'm like, all right, you sucked me in. Now I got to watch this. So, all right, let's see what they can do. I know a lot of Akron folks still love to talk trash about Kent State. And okay, that's wonderful and all, but like, when are you going to win a game in the NCAA tournament?
Great question, because Kent's got a few wins in a couple different tournaments.
They do. And even in the other tournaments we've gone to, we're winning games. Last year we won a few. And And yes, and Mike, I did say correct. Mike from the UK, thank you for tuning in. Everybody, thank you for commenting and tuning in. I said they were going to blow that lead. I'm like, I don't feel good about it. I saw the lead. I'm like, I don't feel good about it for Toledo. Akron earns a 12 seed. They're taking on Texas Tech. That's going to be tough. But like we've discussed, Texas Tech without their best player.
Now, and is that showing a little bit of respect for the MAC with Akron being a 12 seed and then also having Miami possibly, as an 11 seed if they win?
Yes and no, because if you recall, the Kent State was an 8 seed the year they had Chris Singletary and Al Fisher. And that was the same year they went out to St. Mary's and beat St. Mary's in what was then the Bracket Buster weekend and had gotten ranked in the top 25. They were an 8 seed and they stunk against UNLV.
Yep.
So there have been teams that have been gotten a higher seed. Certainly, but I do think an potential 11 and 12 is actually really good. So your point is well taken. I don't think it's the highest, and I can't remember what Miami of Ohio was in '99 with Wally. Were they an 11 that year?
Great question, but I will find out for you.
All right. While you look that up, so let me ask you this question: with Miami getting placed in the first 4, did the NCAA get it right? Do you think that losing one game should have resulted in them getting relegated to the first 4?
No, I think that's pretty ridiculous. I mean, the only team to go undefeated in the regular season, and then you have one slip up, and essentially they're saying they're one of the last 4 in. I get the whole strength of schedule argument and everything, but when you beat everybody that's in front of you, what are you supposed to do? And the coach, Steele had a point that some of the bigger schools wouldn't play them. They tried to schedule some. Whether that's truth or not, who knows? But I could certainly see that.
Yeah, I have a question about that.
2 ranked schools this year.
Right. So, we played, who did we play? We played Purdue, and did we play Kansas?
It was they
I know, or Texas Tech.
#1 at the time.
I feel, well, let me go to two things. One, Miami was number 10 seed that year.
Okay. And Buffalo
in 1999.
Highest seed ever, Buffalo was number 6 in 2019.
Wow, was that under Hurley?
I think that's what ChatGPT is telling me. So it could be.
I think that's probably a pretty accurate there. But yes, I was just having a discussion with somebody about the scheduling. Kent State manages to play big time teams. We played Purdue. Akron played Purdue. Yeah. You mean to tell me Miami couldn't get Purdue on their schedule, or they couldn't get Ohio State or Dayton, or they couldn't go down to West Virginia? Are you kidding me? Don't give me this garbage that you couldn't get a good school on your schedule. If you're saying, "Oh, come play us at our place," well, yeah, you're out of your mind. You got to be willing to travel and go and take on the teams. And so don't give me this baloney that you couldn't get them to schedule you. I'm sorry, I don't buy it. It might be a bit truthful that they didn't, but I feel like the effort.
So do you think they were disrespected for getting the play-in game? With all of that being said,
yes, I think that they deserve to just be straight up in going undefeated. All of that rhetoric, but I do feel that they are kind of being slighted, being put in that first 4. They're not a middling team in the conference. They were, obviously, they won the regular season. They're the only undefeated team in the entire country. And yet somehow they ended up, because of that one loss, they end up being placed in that first 4. So looking at, if we talk about the schedule, Kent State did take on, a number of good teams in out-of-conference play. They played UNC Wilmington. UNC Wilmington is in the NIT. They were the regular season winners of the CAA. So that was a good out-of-conference matchup. But we did play Portland up in Portland, Oregon. They're always tough. Purdue and it feels like there had to have been at least one of the really tough team. I felt like there was, but I guess not.
No, we had 2 top 25s, if I
Okay.
remember. You're on
Well,
there,
I mean, I
right?
guess was Miami a top 25 when we played them?
Well, you're not counting them.
Okay, we played
Um,
Southern Mississippi, and earlier in the season we played Troy. Was it Troy that we played, or somebody else in it? No, it couldn't have been Troy. I'm having a bit of a brain fart here. In terms of in terms of who we played. I know we played Austin Pay. But and Roberts, yeah, who knows? Well, it is what it is. The point being that I think we've seen schools from the MAC schedule tough out of conference games, and I don't know how much of that to buy from Travis Steele. Ohio State. The Ohio State Buckeyes are back in the big dance for the first time since 2022. They are an 8 seed. They take on TCU, and the glorious prize is advancing. Whoever wins that one advances, and they'll take on the winner of the Duke Siena 116 matchup. So, yeah. Are you at all interested in Ohio State basketball at this point, or have they kind of lost so much luster that, there's not much relevance to it?
Yeah, no, I haven't been following them at all. I guess I'd rather see Michigan lose than Ohio State win at this point because that would just be a great upset. That's where I stand.
Yeah, that is beautiful. I love that. You're right on point. We're on the same wavelength here, Mike. This is why these things work. As mentioned a little bit earlier, Kent State not in the NCAA tournament, but they accepted the NIT bid. They will take on Illinois State tomorrow night on the road. A couple of teams turned down the NIT. I believe I saw Virginia Tech, and I think Belmont, to name a couple that turned down the NIT. What do you so? Do you think it depends on the school as to whether or not going to the NIT is disappointing?
I guess, but I still don't get it. You're playing to go to a tournament, like to go to some type of championship. If anything, it prepares you a little bit for next year as well. It rewards your seniors for having a good year. I mean, NIT, I guess, is a consolation prize, but it's a pretty good consolation prize. I don't really understand why schools would turn it down.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Now, I know that they had a couple other postseason tournaments that folded. There was like the College Basketball Invitational, the CBI, and there was one other that folded. But the NIT used to be more prestigious than the NCAA tournament once upon a time, isn't? If that's and it's older than the March Madness. It's kind of crazy enough. And you want to talk about the NIT last year? Kent State went to, I guess, the final 8. They went to the third round. They went to St. Bonaventures, won on the road at St. Bonaventures. They went all the way across country to Stanford and won. And then they fell to Loyola Chicago last season. So I'm all about that. I remember the year after Kent State cracked into the NCAA in 99 and 2000, we had 20 wins, but we lost in the MAC tourney and ended up in the NIT. And I think we made it to maybe the second or third round that year. We lost to Penn State, I believe. Yeah. You know why I remember that, Mike? Why don't you ask me?
Why is that, Ethan?
Okay, well, so that night I probably told the story, but it's always good to share these things. I had met somebody on via AOL Instant Messenger who went to Baldwin Wallace, and not knowing when Kent was going to be playing, somehow we arranged to meet up and go out on a date. So driving up there, I got a ticket. 2, then we went to Fridays for dinner, very, very Northeast Ohio. And we went to sit down, and there was a TV on with the game on. And I'm like, hey, let me sit over here, like not facing the TV. She was like, no, you sit there. That was a bad idea. I could not watch the game. That did not go well. And needless to say, there was no second date.
Okay, that was gonna actually be my question for you. All right, well,
no, there was not.
So it wasn't worth it at all. However, very memorable.
It was, yes, memorable. I have lots of those things. It was worth nothing, but it was very memorable. Other teams turned down the NIT. Is this worse than teams like, I don't know, Notre Dame turning down a bowl game when they didn't get selected for the college football playoff?
Well, college football's so messed up right now, anyways, with
Well, that
NIL
too.
money and players sitting out of bowl games so they don't get injured before the draft. I mean, college football is always going down this road, anyways, and this was the first like big school to just not play in a bowl game because bowl games they don't mean anything anymore like they used to, 15 years ago. So yeah, at least the tournament still means something. The NIT tournament still means something. You don't
It
have,
does.
I think, as many schools deciding not to play as as you do in college football.
Right. Exactly. So I don't know. I'm excited for the NCAA tournament. Did you just fill out one bracket?
Just one.
Just
Just
one.
one.
Okay. Now, and this year you went the Chat GPT route. All right.
I
That's
did.
interesting. I have fallen out of love with filling out brackets. One, because I didn't need anything else to be angry about when it didn't go right. And I'm not going to put money on it, so it didn't even matter anyway, but nevertheless, it was pride. It was about the pride, Mike.
Yep. Okay. And chances are you will never get a perfect bracket. And
Mm-hmm.
very low probability we actually win the pools we're in.
Exactly. Now, do you remember back in the day when it used to, long ago before the internet, and you got the newspaper, you got the Beacon Journal or the Cleveland Plain Dealer, and you'd fill out your bracket and you'd have that newspaper for 3 weekends as you're marking teams off and you're circling and all that stuff.
Yep. That was
Do you?
that was fun. And they would actually print the bracket in the
Yes,
paper. And yeah.
exactly. Now, was there ever a year? Do you remember a year the most picks you ever got right?
No, because they're it doesn't go very far. I don't know if I've ever gotten an entire first round right.
Oh, I know I haven't. I think maybe there might have been a time I might have gotten like 14 or 15, like, that day one or the day
Yeah.
two. But I feel like you've got, so it's 63 games because you're not counting the first four.
Yeah.
So like 63 games. If I got if you get in the 40s to around 50, that's pretty darn good. But I don't know. I
So
lost
here's
the
a
luck.
couple fun facts for you if you
Okay, what are
want.
the fun
So
facts?
the chances of picking a perfect bracket are 1 in 9.2 quintillion. The longest recorded streak of correct games, 49 out of, and you need to get, like you said, 63. And then if you filled out one bracket per second, this is on NCAA.com, it would take 292 billion years to fill out all possible combinations, meaning you would get a perfect bracket.
Oh my gosh, that is crazy. Although now with AI, you could probably have it do it for you, right?
That's true. And then you just use up all the energy in the state of Ohio to make that happen
Oh yeah, I
from the
forgot
data
about that.
centers that's processing
Yes, yes,
your
yes, yes. Good
requests.
point. Oh, an excellent choice there. Do you frown upon people who fill out more than one bracket?
No, no, why not? There's only if you do it in different pools. You don't do it in the same
Right.
pool.
You can't
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that's fine. I don't like to do that. It's kind of like having multiple fantasy football teams because then you don't know what's going on and you don't know who you're
yeah.
rooting for, and it gets out of hand. It just gets out of hand. So yeah, I got you there. All right. Well, March Madness will be underway. The first four start tonight. UMBC and Howard, and then Texas and NC State. Tomorrow night, it's somebody and somebody else. And then Miami plays the latest game possible against SMU. And let's go, Pony Express. Go SMU.
Are these games all played in Dayton, the first four
Yes, the
still?
first four are all in Dayton. Yes, sir.
So almost a home game for Miami then.
It is. I could see them winning. I don't want them to, but I can see them doing it.
Yeah.
I don't like that, but
No.
it is what it is. Now that's probably like the most exciting stuff that is going on. And I thought we'll just briefly touch here on Browns news, which is never exciting. Sometimes it's noteworthy, but I don't know that it's that exciting. Oh, wait a second. Wait. We have this is important. Merrill and Tyson are available tonight for the Cavs. Holy crap.
Maybe
Oh
we
my
won't
gosh.
lose then to some underrated
Bucks.
team. Yeah.
I mean, we almost beat. I was going to get into this. We almost beat them last time. We had no Harden, no Mobley, and no Mitchell that night, and we almost tied the game to send it to overtime. But by a fraction of a second, Allen's tip-in was no good. So we'll see how they do tonight. I don't believe Giannis is playing for Milwaukee, but the Cavs, that we'll get to them in a minute. Let me save my anger for them and ire for just a minute. Cleveland Browns news. Well, I can't say that no news is good news. Joel Bitonio?
Still no news as far as I know, right? You know anything different?
Nothing.
Okay.
I mean, and the discussion today was, and debate was, is it sounding or seeming more likely that he might come back but not play for the Browns?
I don't think he'd do it. I really don't. I think he knows his legacy is here, and it's more important to have that than try to go chase a Super Bowl with some other team. I don't think he'd do it.
I am hopeful that he does not decide to go elsewhere. I'd prefer he just retire, but I have no idea. And then watch him wait until after the draft. All right, Mike. Yeah, no, we don't need that. We don't need any of that kind of ridiculousness there. And then the other news: David Njoku was visiting with the Ravens. If one of our players had to go to one of our division rivals, how would you rate them from like worst to best case scenario or worst to least worst of where a player might go, a la, ranking them? Baltimore, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. I'll let you go first, then I'll give you my thoughts if they're any different.
So which team do I not want our free agents to go to make that team better, essentially?
Right, exactly. Like which would be the worst of all the possibilities, then the second worst, then the third worst?
Well,
they're all bad.
Yeah, no, they're all bad. My hatred for these teams is pretty much tied between the Steelers and the Ravens for obvious reasons, because they've owned the North for so long. And, don't like the Bengals, but they're kind of with us kind of at the bottom. So it's hard to hate them as much.
Right.
So between the Steelers and the Ravens, I think most of my hatred goes towards the Ravens, but only slightly higher than the Steelers.
Okay.
Because it's the old Browns. They've won 2 Super Bowls. It should have been Browns Super Bowls. And they continue to have our number and make, smart free agent draft picks, and we do the exact opposite. Now you could say the same about the Steelers. They do good every year, never have a losing season. But that just really hasn't been much of a rivalry as of late, where just the hatred for the Ravens, I don't know, it's just always there.
Okay, so you would say you'd be most upset if he went to the Ravens, second most upset if he went to the Steelers, and then third or least upset if he goes to the Bengals.
Yes, correct.
Okay, I'm going to stay the same with you on the Bengals part, right? Bengals, fine, whatever. But I still would flip-flop. I'd rather him go to the Steelers. No,
you're done.
No, I'm done. No,
the historical rivalry, is that why?
Yeah, it's just the history there. And Baltimore, I mean, the franchise and the way they came about. I mean, they can't control that per se. The current players. Pittsburgh is just Pittsburgh, and their fans are so loud and obnoxious, it's ridiculous.
So I can't argue that.
So that is why I think that I would again say I'm most upset when one of our free agents or former players goes to the Steelers. Then the second most upset, being the Ravens, and then the least of the upsettedness amongst the AFC North would be the Bungles. Speaking of people leaving town and they're driving out of town and they can be fixed or repaired daily, Jerome Ford And sayonara means goodbye. He's headed to the capital. Great. No love lost.
I'm okay with that, and kind of like we were talking before the show, if we replace him with a free agent Nick Chubb, I'd be okay with that because
So would I. So would I. I'm surprised at this juncture that he hasn't picked up with another team at this point. But of course, I think that a lot of teams are going to be looking at the draft and trying to figure out what they've got going into the season. You think about injuries. I could definitely see him getting picked up. If a guy like Kareem Hunt can get picked up, multiple seasons after training camp, I don't see why a guy like Nick Chubb wouldn't get picked up, to be a third down, a third option at running back.
right.
He'll get you some tough yards. It's he's not the same guy, doesn't have the same burst, but I would that would be amazing to have him come back. Think about it like how so Ernest Biner, he came back after he, certainly after the fumble, he leaves, he goes to Washington, and then eventually he makes his way back. Did Mac leave and come back, or was he always with us, but he ran into problems with some drug issues?
Yeah, I remember that part. I don't know if he ever left or not.
Yeah, I'd have to look back at that. That's my poor memory and trying to shoot from the hip. Okay, so here's a English soccer. I do not want Njoku going to Baltimore, like Hayden going to Pittsburgh, or in our Tottenham Hotspurs, or Saul Campbell going from Spurs to Arsenal. That means Spurs and Arsenal, as you may or may not know, is Cleveland, Pittsburgh, except closer. It's like the North London derby. I mean, it's nuts. You don't want to be in that showdown there.
Let me ask you this though: is the Ravens picking up Njoku actually worse for them? They lost likely, and they pick up Njoku, which I think is a downgrade.
Oh, absolutely. He is, unfortunately for him, he's on the backside of his career. He ended the season on the injured list. Although his last catch was a touchdown. Hell of a way to go out. Yeah, because he landed on his knee, I believe. I might be getting that wrong. Either he or Fannin, someone caught a touchdown pass, and I think that was their last play of the season. It was kind of crazy.
I've flushed the 2025 Brown season. I don't even know what happened anymore.
Right. Thank you. Jed Wills to the Bears. What do you think about that?
Great. Who cares?
Hey, get Caleb Williams killed. Excellent. Hey, all right, Kenny. Yes. Hey, happy St. Patrick's Day to you. No more green beer up in here. Yes. Okay. And Drew, my man Drew, it was Njoku, he believes. Okay. Yeah. I'm pretty sure he caught the touchdown, landed on his knees, and that was it. So,
all right. Good luck, Baltimore.
Yeah. I think that actually Baltimore's not a good fit. Baltimore's offense is going to stink. They hired a defensive coach. They were already having issues on offense, and then they hired Jesse Minter, a defensive coach. So I don't know how great of a situation that is going to be. I'm just sitting here watching the moves that are being made. So far, we talked about it. I like the free agency moves that the Browns have made. And certainly we're not done yet. There could potentially be some trades. Who knows? And we're headed to the draft. Let me just ask you this. I don't know if you've been listening or following all these mock drafts. We've got 2 picks in the first round. I think we would agree, or we did agree, that the positions of need or most need are offensive line and wide receiver.
Yes.
And do you have a preference on which position you would address first and why?
I think, it all, it's all dependent on who gets drafted ahead of us. We're sitting at number 6, and then what's available. I think we're at 20 something for our second first round pick. But I think just based on need, I would rather get the offensive lineman first, because I think that is a position that if you draft right, now we screwed up with Jedrick Wills, but if you get it right, you can have somebody set them and forget them. You're going to have them for 10 years,
Okay.
hopefully. Because we haven't drafted a first-round offensive lineman since Wills. And before that, well, Batonio was a second-rounder. Other than that, we haven't drafted an offensive lineman in the first 2 rounds. So I
Right.
think it's time.
No.
So I'd rather have him go at number 6.
Okay. So I'm actually going to go the opposite of you there.
Okay.
I think that as great as Joe Thomas was, what did we win as a result of that? Could you not get some, if we still took another offensive lineman, but with the later pick in the first round, who is good? Maybe they're not a future Hall of Famer, right? But they're still really good and are going to give you 5, 6 seasons, and you get a potential Hall of Famer at wide receiver. Would that not serve you better for a team that had such an anemic, terrible offense?
Maybe. I mean, offensive lineman is involved in every offensive play. The wide
That's true.
receiver isn't. But I get your point. We have not had dynamic. Well, I mean, we have had dynamic receivers in the past, not necessarily through our draft, but we had even Judy was not last year, but 2 years ago was pretty dynamic, and it didn't get us anywhere either.
Right. No, I agree. But if you look at teams and you look at the ultimate wide receiver ones in the league, dominant, and how they can elevate their team, you look at a Justin Jefferson, a Jamar Chase, you see what they can do for those teams. And we have such horrible receivers. And I feel like Andrew Berry is less likely to miss on the wide receiver if he takes the wide receiver early in the first round rather than later, where you're kind of at that point guessing. You're like, all right, well, this guy isn't the best. This person has this and this, maybe, you talk about, what is it? It's Jordan Tyson. So Jalen Tyson's brother, he's got injury history. Denzel Boston, Malachi Lemon is small. All these guys, you start looking later in the round and you have to look at their deficiencies, right? And I think with the offensive linemen, you might be able to get away with it a little bit more and not see as noticeable of a difference. I don't know. It's a tough call. I'm going to have to just kind of wait and see what happens. But I was thinking about the fact that we took Joe Thomas in that draft instead of potentially taking Adrian Peterson. That was the debate beforehand. Obviously, Adrian Peterson had a Hall of Fame type career, minus the issues that got him in trouble for saying that he hit his child with a switch or whatever it was that got him into some hot water. And then even after having a horrific, injury, he comes back and then had an amazing year after that. And no, did he win anything? No. But we didn't win anything either with Joe Thomas because, and Tony Grossi pointed this out today in a conversation he had with Joe Thomas. Joe Thomas kind of saying how he was only sorry or felt bad he couldn't score.
Yeah. You can only do so much, yeah.
You can only do so much. You can block, but if the guy throwing the ball is throwing it to the wrong team, if the person trying to catch the ball is dropping the ball, if the person running the ball isn't hitting the hole, there's only so much you can do. But I don't know. It is what it is, and we'll have plenty of time to talk about that. And I don't know, Mike from the UK, he now this is 2 things. One, our last wide receiver in the first round was Corey Coleman. We traded back multiple times and ended up with Corey stinking Coleman. That is forgettable.
So are you going to be disappointed if we trade down again this year?
Okay, last year I lost my ever-loving mind at the draft party.
Okay, I remember we talking about that. Yes,
when we traded down, because I thought, why are we not getting Travis Hunter? But obviously, it worked out. Obviously, it worked out. I like how that all went. I won't be completely upset, but it depends on who's on the board and who we end up passing up.
Yeah,
that some team goes up and takes, and we're forever playing against that person. and cringing and going, why didn't we just take that player? So like if somebody wants to get Carnell Tate or Caleb Downs or whomever it is, and they jump up and they take that player and we drop back and then we get, whomever, Corey Coleman, throwing someone a terrible pick. I'm going to be just horrified. There was this, we'll see. Who knows what moves they make? I could likely see them trading down though.
Yeah, same.
We'll see, and adding some more draft capital. The other thing, and I don't know if did we discuss this last week? If we did, remind me. Did we talk about the whole thing with Max Crosby and Baltimore and that nonsense?
I don't think we did. It's not ringing a bell.
Okay, so I mean, as everybody's probably aware, Max Crosby was all signed, sealed, and there it is. There it is. No need.
Actually,
screw it up.
Mike from the UK, he broke it on the show last week.
That is right. He did break it as we were getting. That is correct. But I mean, for him to fail the physical, and I know people are saying, look, everybody had the medical records. What really happened? Was it buyer's remorse? I think it was buyer's remorse. And they're like, oh crap, we have a way to get out of this. We're about to send picks to these guys. Hey, Trey Hendrickson is out there. That's a much better deal.
It certainly seems that way. And if that's the case, is that going to hurt them in the long run? Or do other teams really care at that point, if they're going to get a good deal from Baltimore? Or are they going to have to pay the Baltimore, renege on my deal tax?
Well, and interestingly, there was somebody talking about Ryan Grant, a wide receiver, that the same thing happened to him. He was all ready to go to Baltimore, and then they're like, no, we're going to fail you on the physical, and because Michael Crabtree became available. And so apparently it hasn't hurt them in the past. Or since then, I guess. So and Drew, it's possible they wanted Trey Hendrickson all along. It's a much better deal for them, but I don't think he's good, but is he great? I'm not afraid of him. I'm definitely not afraid of him. They didn't get fleeced like the Clowns. No, well, so ultimately they didn't get fleeced, but they had set themselves up. That looked like a really bad deal for the Ravens. That looked like a really bad deal. And then the GM said, Eric DaCosta said they wanted both. Well, you can't have both. Okay? Shut up.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see how Crosby plays next year, too. I'm guessing he's going to play just fine, and that's going to look even worse then for Baltimore.
It is way early to say this, and let's see what happens with the draft. But as I stated before, the Ravens' offense was not great, and they got a defensive coach. I'm wondering about them, and I'm wondering about the durability of Lamar Jackson. Derrick Henry is amazing, but he, of course, is getting older. So I'm not going to say anything. This is Cincinnati's division to win. That's it. Cincinnati's division to win.
Yeah, I'm sure the Steelers will win it. They always do. They'll figure out a way.
What are they going to wheel Aaron Rodgers out?
I don't know. They'll get somebody that'll do just enough to win the division and lose in the first round in the playoffs.
Probably will figure out some way. What do you think about Justin Fields getting traded from the Jets to the Chiefs to sit behind Mahomes? And Mahomes is going to be coming off of that Achilles injury, I believe. Can't remember if it was Achilles or ACL. So I think it's a really great spot for Justin Fields.
Yeah. And what did they give up? What did the Chiefs give up? What draft pick? Do we know?
I don't recall. I don't think it was much of anything, like a fifth round.
Yeah,
nothing major. And then the Jets going back to Geno Smith. If this isn't tanking, I don't know what it is.
That is great. Like I get probably competes with us for some of the strangest moves.
It is. And like Aaron Glenn is going to be, he's going to take the fall for all of this. They have no quarterback. Don't give me this Geno Smith stuff. He stinks. And they are going to be having a terrible season. They have all this draft capital. They are going to be set to draft number 1 next year. And Aaron Glenn's going to be out of a job.
Probably.
Oh, there it is. Mike's got it. A 6th round pick. A 6th round pick for Justin Fields. So Kansas City got him on the cheap. That's a great deal for them. Yeah. And I feel like in as much as they've had some decent backups, Justin Fields has like the highest ceiling of a backup that they've had in recent years. It's a higher ceiling than Minshew or Wentz or Chase Daniel. So it's not a bad situation for him to be in, and I hope he actually does well. I feel, he's kind of just been underwhelming in his NFL career. Granted, he's been in kind of some crap situations.
Do you wish the Browns would have grabbed him?
No, I do not. Nope.
Okay.
Not under the current state. Especially not at this point. There might have been a time, maybe last year or the year before, when he ended up going to Pittsburgh, that maybe that would have been a good move, but. Nah, not at this juncture. And I also don't want to see the Browns, unless you're talking about maybe a late day 3 pick. I don't want to see the Browns drafting a quarterback unless they have sent Timu Tua walking.
Right. Because we just have too many quarterbacks at that point.
Yeah, because then you end up in a mess, and it's a whole ordeal. We don't need that. Look. This season, the best case scenario for everybody is if Shedeur does well, because if Deshaun does well, 1, you're dealing with Deshaun, and just in and of itself. 2, this is his last year of his contract. He's not coming back here. We're not paying him $1 bazillion again. And so if he does well and the team does well enough that they maybe make the playoffs, but they don't have a high draft pick, then what? He's going to be gone. And then what? We got Shedeur still here. Do we get rid of him? It's a nightmare. You want Sanders to either sink or swim. And preferably you'd like him to swim so that he does really well. And next year we're not looking at a quarterback, and we can use any additional draft capital we might get this year to continue to build this team. We really have some good building blocks here, I think. And
I agree.
And let's see, they got Geno Smith in a pick swap. Okay. All right, the Jets. That's right. All right. So moving on from the Clowns, let's talk a little bit about the Cleveland Cavaliers. They continue to be frustratingly inconsistent, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, you come out and you see Max Strus have an amazing first game back, and somehow we still blow the game to the Mavericks at home nonetheless. Like with in the injuries that we had, as Mike pointed out, we have Tyson and Merrill coming back. They weren't playing Sunday, but you wouldn't think that would cost us the game against the Mavericks at home when Strus is back. You're right. It is incredibly frustrating. What is going on? We think we're rounding the corner and playing like the team we should be, and then we have a game like that.
Right. We beat them soundly in Dallas on Friday night. Right. And then we acted as if they were going to lay down and die. And that was not the case. And we lacked defensive intensity. And I am really getting tired of having to hear Kenny talk about how disappointing and how bad of a performance that was. How about some accountability?
Right.
I don't know what he can do. I don't know who he needs to bench.
That's a great question. Like what lineup can you put out there that's actually going to show some energy, and make up for and show effort essentially? Because exactly like you said, I think it was seemed like lack of effort on the defensive end.
Oh, which it was horrendous. They had a layup line. They had a conga line to the into the paint and to the basket. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. And what happened to Dean Wade? He comes out, he scores like 9 of our first 11 points or something. He hit a couple threes. He's going in, getting a putback, and then he disappeared. He vanished.
Yeah,
absolutely vanished. Max Strus was the best player out there on Sunday. They are just incredibly frustrating. Obviously, injuries are tough. Rolling an ankle, having a broken bone, those things, all right, fine. I get it. Those are tough breaks, no pun intended. Soft tissue injuries, I got issues with that. At what point do you fire the entire training staff for not having these guys stretching and being flexible so that they aren't having these types of injuries? I swear, how many different soft tissue injuries have we seen all year long between, I don't know, we've got, well, Mitchell had a groin, but, he made it back. We gave him a little bit of rest. He came back. But Merrill seems like over and over again, it's a hand this, it's a leg that. Dean Wade constantly injured. Now Craig Porter is injured. I mean, these things are nuts.
Yeah, it reminds you of when the Browns had the staph infection epidemic
Yes.
a decade ago. It's
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
Why can't we get this right?
I don't get it. I honestly would fire them all. I think he passed away. Gary Briggs. We need to find a descendant of Gary Briggs. Hell of a trainer. And the trainer, Gary Briggs. In my worst Howie Chiswick Richfield Coliseum impression there, because the Cleveland Cavaliers are coached by Lenny Wilkins with assistant coaches Richie Adubato and Ron Rothstein.
That's pretty good memory.
Believe me, I replayed that over and over in my mind. I did, that was my sideshow there, my side gig, doing the starting lineup for your Cleveland Cavaliers. But now let's see. So that's an issue. I'm not sure you guys know the extent of the range. Yeah, I don't know the extent of the range of the soft tissue injuries. But my issue is just, why is this? It seems like it's happening too often.
Yeah, like get a different stretching regimen before the game or after the game or something.
And I think it's and so here's another question. We talked about this with everybody in their Achilles. Are these guys too muscular? Like, can you find me Paul McKeskey? Can I get some big slow white guy out there that looks unathletic, yet he's healthy all the time?
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's plenty of those out there. At least slow, athletic, unathletic white guys. You got two of them right here. So.
Well, yes, exactly. No, and I get it. I appreciate the comment. I understand that soft tissue injuries can take you weeks of healing. I get it. I'm not saying that it's more the frustration that it's happening so often than it is them not being able to play. I understand you have it, but I also know that it seems like, and I shouldn't say I know, it seems like back in the day, in the past, those types of injuries didn't keep people out as often. Did they play through the bumps and bruises more? Did they feel like they didn't have a choice? Like there wasn't as much, you're not guaranteed as much money. I don't know all the reasonings, but it just doesn't. It seems like it's become an epidemic.
Yeah.
So well, I don't know.
Let me ask you this question about the Cavs. Pivoting though to a different topic, we're 2.5. We're number 4 seed right now. 2.5 games behind New York. 2.5 games ahead of Orlando. With that's a good one too. With it looks like the easiest remaining schedule. Would you like us to stay in the 4 seed? Would you? So we play Detroit possibly in the second round, but would have to face Orlando in the first round at home, or would you rather move up to the 3 seed where you hopefully get out of playing Orlando if it were to stay now, but then you have to deal with Boston in the second round?
I would prefer at this juncture. I think that it would be better served for everybody. And I think this is where they're going to ultimately end up. I think they're going to end up in the 4 and have to deal with Orlando, but I think they can deal with Orlando. Orlando, I don't know how they scored as many points as they did the other night. That's right, outrageous. Again, a debacle. It's a debacle. We got to play better defensively and have a better defensive mentality. I can't believe is this all about Jared Allen, even though the lights were too bright in the playoffs a few years ago, and sometimes he kind of shrinks. I feel like we need him. His presence is very important.
Yeah.
And to Mike's point, I'm going to say 4 seed and healthy. What
Yeah.
about you?
Yeah, I'm with you. We play Orlando here next week as well, so that'll be good test to see if they can get it together. But I could envision a scenario if we keep playing like we did on Sunday where we fall out of the 4 seed too, because Orlando had been playing great until they lost last game, and they're only 2.5 games behind us.
Yeah, I, I believe we will hold on, but nothing.
I mean, in that
I am,
scenario, we still play Orlando in the first round. We're just
but
not the
not
home team.
having home court advantage makes it.
Right.
I think that does make a difference. We certainly play much more energized basketball at home, and I don't want to have to go to a seventh game on the road with this group. I
I
don't
agree.
have that confidence in them at all.
Yep.
Moving forward here, just a real quick shot here as we are approaching opening day of baseball for the Cleveland Guardians. Just over a week here, I believe. Next Wednesday or next Thursday, the Guardians open. So it's right upon us. Jose has a little bit of a shoulder ding. They pulled him out of the game the other day, or well, they actually didn't pull him. He injured his shoulder, they believe, while stealing third base in the second inning. He didn't come out until he was pinch hit for in the bottom of the fourth by Carter Kaiboom, which is just an amazing name. I really need him to make the roster so that he can hit some Kaibooms. But are you thinking we need to bubble wrap Jose Ramirez?
Yeah, he is getting older. We just talked about injuries linger longer, and then when you get older, they do. So yeah, with the lack of hitting we potentially have on this roster, and him being the only real option we have, yeah, pretty much we do.
Yeah, speaking of possible surprises, and this might make me eat crow. Bo Naylor? Could he be for
Yeah,
real? He
they said he
jacked a
changed,
bomb.
and he changed his swing in spring training. He's been working on it to, I guess, get rid of some of the hitches he had in his swing, make it smoother. So that would be great if he finally comes around.
Oh, it would be amazing. I mean, he started looking better at the end of last season and in the playoffs. Allegedly, there was some work with one Mr. Albert Bell
Oh,
uh,
okay.
on his swing. Unauthorized, kind of outside the scope of the organization, my
As,
understanding, or from what I've
as long
heard.
as he
But
wasn't using a corked back, we'll be all right.
exactly. But he hit a bomb for Canada in the World Baseball Classic in the loss to the United States. The controversial third strike ended the game between the United States and the Dominican Republic. Yeah, please bring the automated ball strike system. What do you think?
Yeah, that was pretty egregious. I still don't understand why you don't have the ABS system all the time for every pitch. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. And this just proves exactly why. Like that potentially changed the game. Who's going to the championship game? That's huge.
Yeah, I don't know, but I've kind of gotten sucked into the WBC a little bit. I'm not fully involved. I'm not like a Firehouse sub. I'm not fully involved.
So
Um,
are you watching the Cavs or US in the finals? Because they're both on at the same time tonight.
oh, neither. Um, Neither because the Cavs are on Peacock, I think, and I don't have Peacock. I might listen to the audio, get it to Sirius XM, listen to Tim Alcorn and Jim Chones. Um,
Okay.
and the baseball, if I happen to flip to it, maybe I might be watching the basketball, actually, the NCAA tournament.
Okay. We've been watching the WBC in our house. It's been fun.
You and Mike in the UK. He's
Mm-hmm.
watched every game. Yep, almost all. Missed a handful, but yeah, I've gotten pulled in a little bit, but not fully involved. So we'll see. I am ready for opening day, though.
Yes.
Definitely will be exciting for next week when the Guardians get things underway, albeit on the West Coast. So it's going to be a few late nights to start the season. Hopefully, I would like to see them if they can come away 3-3 out of the weekend. Would it be three or I think do they have 6 games on the road or 7? Why do I think it's whether it's 6 or 7, if they come out with 3 wins, I'd be pretty pleased. I feel that
Yeah.
would be a good way to at least come home and you're not completely behind the 8 ball, and then you open with the Chicago Cubs on Friday, April the 3rd, my birthday. And hopefully we can exact some more frustration on the Cubbies.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. It looks like we have 7 games, 4 at Seattle and then 3 at LA.
Okay, yep. And Mike from the UK has confirmed as well. So 4 at Seattle, 3 with LA. All right. Yeah, if we can split with Seattle, go 2-2, that would be excellent. And then if we could pull one out against the Dodgers, I'll take it. You come out of there 3-4 with a 2-2 record against your an AL opponent. That would not be bad at all. I mean, certainly we'll see how it goes.
The only problem is I'm looking at it and they're all night games, even the weekend games.
Yeah, it's going to be a late night.
Come on, MLB. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to do better. Although the choice was made for me, I forgot that I auto renewed my CLE Guardians TV, so I will be watching a lot of Guards ball.
Worth every penny.
It'll be fantastic. So I think we've hit on pretty much all of our teams here, and I think at this point it is time to tell everyone what has you going nuclear, Mike.
All right. Well, so I take the Metro to and from work here in the DC area, and I love it. I love the public transportation. It's fine, except for today on St. Patty's Day, where the normal 45-minute commute took 2 hours, and I had to skip the metro, the subway, and hop on a bus because of all the St. Patty's Day revelers that would not get off the train and were packed. And I literally watched 3 trains go by that were full and nobody was getting off of them. So today on St. Patty's Day, a holiday I like, it has me going nuclear.
Wow. I'd be pretty ticked as well. I'm like, don't you people have jobs?
Yes, get off the train. Let me on.
Exactly. I've got real things to do here, and you people are going out to the bars and doing nothing. I mean,
that's right. I was almost late to the podcast because of that.
Dude, that would have been massively angering. I'd have had it. I would be going nuclear about that on your behalf.
There we go. Yeah.
If that had happened. So, Mike, what has me going nuclear today is something that I can't imagine that other people don't share the same frustration with. Shady auto mechanics and service departments. Would you care to explain how I had to go to the dealership for a warranty or for some sort of a recall about a little over a month ago? And the service technician says your rear brakes are at 3 millimeters. You're going to need to get them replaced, and gives you a quote. And I look on the sheet and all the findings. They say, 6.5 millimeters on the front brakes. I'm like, well, they're fine. I don't have to replace them now. I'm good. Yet when I take the car back in for the oil change, the regularly scheduled oil change, just this past weekend, over a month after and at least 1,000 miles more driven on the car, that suddenly I have more remaining on my brake pads. So I went from 6.5 millimeters on my front brake pads to 11, and from 3 millimeters on the rear to 4.
Did they check your Johnson rod to make sure that was okay too?
They're trying to pull my Johnson rod, is what's going on here, Mike. I don't understand this. How can you possibly ever trust any of these people to be able to say, oh yeah, I need to get this done, when you have 2 things and you're like, how could this even happen? How is it that I drove and more since this time, yet somehow I have less wear now than I did a month ago?
Both cannot be true.
Right. Is this a subjective thing? I don't get it. And no wonder people who don't know how to service a car or aren't experts are always worried about going to these places to get service anywhere you go. I don't think I am, off base when I say that I think some of these places are shady. So auto service industry, the mechanics, service technicians, you have me going nuclear. And with that, Mike, I think that's going to do it for us here tonight. We will go and enjoy all of our basketball and baseball and so on and so forth. Want to thank everybody for tuning in, for chiming in on the comments. Thank our man, Paulie Campione, as we are part of Collecting and Connecting, a Good Vibes community. And Mike, thank you as always. Really appreciate it and enjoy having you as always. And with that, let's head off into the sunset and go watch some sports. So for Mike Rasinski, I'm Ethan Greenberg, and you've been tuned in to Going nuCLEar, full-blown coverage of the land.